Has anyone seen the cowboy?
Hi, welcome to Dead Air Live. Today we're going to be talking about the Art Bike Auction, an upcoming cultural event and fundraiser benefiting Bikes Not Bombs. I'm joined here today by the founder and technical director of Bikes Not Bombs and some of the artists who are participating in this event. We have William Turville, Barbara Michaels, Carl Kurtz, and Mike Flanagan. Bikes Not Bombs is a nonprofit group based in Roxbury, supporting environmental education, sustainable transportation, and community development. The Art Bike Auction will be happening on May 16th at the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center. And what Bikes Not Bombs has done is that a few months ago, over the last few months, they distributed bikes to artists, local artists all around the New England area. These artists and tradespeople have transformed these bikes into rideable art. And they're all to be auctioned at the Art Bike Auction, again, on May 16th at the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center. And they're also on display all around town for you to see. Carl, you're the founder of Bikes Not Bombs. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization and what programs will benefit from the proceeds of this event?
Sure. And I also like to say I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really thankful to all the artists that have participated in this art bike program. Bikes Not Bombs has been around for 19 years, as you well know, and it's a multifaceted organization. We started by shipping bicycles overseas to different development projects, specifically in Nicaragua, but we've expanded to accommodate needs of people in other countries, El Salvador, Guatemala. Coming up on May 11th, we'll be shipping another container load to Ghana, West Africa, to the Village Bicycle Project in Ghana. So one component for sure is this overseas development where we ship container loads, 450 bicycles at a time, used recycled bicycles that get donated to us by the Boston Metroplex area of kind and generous people, or those that want to clean out their basements. We collect many bicycles, probably around 2,000 bicycles a year, and 1,000 of them are dedicated to those overseas development projects. The rest of them are divvied up in many different fashions. We have an entry-level Earn-A-Bike program, which we have both co-ed Earn-A-Bike and girls-only Earn-A-Bike. And these programs actually teach girls and boys how to take apart a bicycle, and in the process of putting it back together with adults that have gone through a program and learned our teaching methodology and what we're trying to get across, they're successful at rehabbing and reconditioning a bicycle, each one of them, together with sometimes peer leaders, but mostly with adults that want to get involved in Bikes Not Bombs. So at the end of the program, they get to keep that bicycle. And of course, they get a helmet. They've gone on many rides together with these instructors, so they've learned both safe riding technique and how to take apart and put back the bike. That's one of the basics programs. We have a vocational track program that comes up after that. People that show sort of an aptitude for mechanics and want to get involved in Bikes Not Bombs or want to get involved in the bike industry can then learn through an apprenticeship program really how to repair all bikes, not just that one bicycle that they've earned. And they get a basic primer on how to become a repair mechanic at a shop and how to become an assembly mechanic of assembly of new bikes. And then some of them get placed at local shops, and some of them go on to help support our staff and become members of our staff at our locally run bike shop, which is open 4 days a week, and it's run at an after-school and on a weekend type program. So that's a vocational track. We have adult education programs as well for adults that want to learn about fixing bikes, and we run girls-only programs and youth leadership where we have a drop-in and tutors that help teens that have come through any of our programs and want to keep staying involved. They want to keep fixing their bikes, but we also know that you generally need a little help with schooling. And so we have 2 drop-in times a week where they come in, they get tutoring on their homework, and then the latter part of the day that they drop in, they work on bicycles together, their own bikes. So that's it sort of in a big nutshell. And then Art Bike follows that along with other grassroots fundraising activities and events that we pull off.
So it's an interesting fundraiser. It's a pretty unique kind of event. Where did you get the idea to do this, or what inspired you to come up with an art bike auction?
Well, I'm a good thief. I like to take ideas from people and then embellish upon them. I think there's a lot of artists that are good thieves too. But this came from Toronto. and they did 3 art bike shows. And I, as the founder of Bikes Not Bombs, did go to a couple of those shows and was very intrigued. I also saw that it was a lot of exhausting, hard work. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of pulling together volunteers and venues, and it's just a lot of work. But in the end, you've stimulated a community and you've reached out to a whole new community. And hopefully you bring people together to support this work that we do, as well as grow in the sense of a broader neighborhood of people that are aware of both our programs, and this art seeps into the children's lives as well. And many of the jewelry and the pieces of artwork that were made were also made some by the teens at Bikes Not Bombs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a nice network of people working together.
Yeah, and this is the second biannual art bike auction, right?
It's
and
biannual.
I know from the first one, experiencing the first one to this one, that it actually has developed quite a bit. I mean, there are a lot more bikes, a lot more people seem to have heard about it in the art community.
I think so, and there's been a lot more publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the venues that are helping us this year, we're excited to see us come back, so they've put more effort into promoting the event. And one thing I should just mention, as you see in front of you, we have not only rideable sculptures and our 20 bicycles that have been transformed into rideable sculptures, but we also have arts and crafts and other pieces that have come from bicycle components and cycling images and are part of the show as well.
Right.
And they'll be either auctioned off, or some of them we give them just a price tag, and
Oh yeah,
people can take those home too.
a bottom line. I want to ask all of you, my other guests, I'll give you a little more thorough introduction. William Turville is a sculptor based in the Concord area, who's done a lot of work actually in Somerville and has been pretty active with the Somerville Arts Council, among other things. You may have seen, if anyone has been to Art Beat, the big luminaries that are there, a pretty big centerpiece for the whole event. Bill makes those. Barbara Michaels is a visual and performance artist based in Jamaica Plain, who's also been quite active in Somerville Arts as well.
Yes.
And Mike Flanagan is a frame builder based also in Somerville, a bicycle frame builder, and the founder of ANT, Alternative Needs Transportation, which is a new endeavor, and has been a frame builder for years in the area and active in bicycle activism. So all of you are people who do your own work, but you also contribute a lot to the community through various projects and doing different stuff. I'm interested to hear what appeals to you about this event, or how you heard about it. Any of you?
2 years ago, I was working for the Arts Council in Jamaica Plain and came across the event through there because I was trying to help bring artists to the event. But of course, my own artist could not be held back. And I made my bike and was excited to come back and make another bike. I love this event.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
It is.
The bikes are exciting. You see people's creativity.
Right.
The audience has a good time.
It seems also
Yeah.
artists seem to be pretty good bike mechanics as well. How about you all? How did you hear about the event?
I actually probably heard about it from Barbara. We had been involved in an art car activity together. I
Right.
had made the fish car for the Somerville Arts Council, and then we heard about the art bike activity, and of course the logical thing for me to make was a fish bike after I'd made the fish car.
Mm-hmm.
So that became the project, and of course working with Carl is really fantastic. He's a inspirational kind of a guy doing the hard work of the sort of alternate transportation and
Right.
social good work, whatever.
Right.
And I think that was my inspiration. I know Carl comes up and asks you to do something, it's hard to say no.
And Mike, you've been involved also with Bikes Not Bombs. And
Yes, I have,
Carl.
through the cycling community mostly. When I first moved to Boston 14 years ago, I helped out with a container loading for Carl, and just have stayed in contact since then, at least on a peripheral of some sort, and tried to do as much as I can to help out, but not as much as some others. And when I first heard about the art auction, I was very excited about it, but unfortunately did not take the time to get involved. and I was really glad that various people from Bikes Not Bombs had called me and did a little arm
Badgered you.
twisting to get me involved and to make the time to do it, because it's something I do want to support.
Right. You're getting kind of a reputation here.
Arm twister.
So I want to take a little bit, we have a little footage of each of you and your work. I want to take a look at first a clip we have of Barbara's bike from the prior art bike auction in 2001. So there's a little interview with Barbara there, and also a little bit of footage of the new bike with a mystery rider who's actually riding your bike. So we'll take a look at that.
So the name of your bike is Cycle of Forgiveness.
The Cycle of Forgiveness.
And can you tell me a little bit about the colors and the gloves and everything that you put into your bike, the meaning?
Yeah. Well, the reason that I started making the bike is I needed to do some forgiving. And I realized as I attempted to do that I had no idea what forgiving is. I had no idea what it would feel like when I did it. And so I didn't really know how to go about it or how to identify it once it was happening. And so I asked around. I asked a lot of people, what is forgiveness? And I got many, many different answers. It's very similar to asking people what love is. You get lots of different answers and they don't necessarily go together. And so I'm looking at the bike. There's a lot of painting underneath the colors. It's really bold colors right now, but there's a lot of painting underneath the colors that you can't see. I mean, I started working with scars. I started, beautiful things. One day I had red and black and a little bit of gold fleck on my finger from painting, and I thought, oh, this is like forgiveness. This is a scar, a red and black scar with a little bit of beautiful gold that transcends. So I tried that, but things change in art bikes, and it changed suddenly. And suddenly I found myself doing these big splashes of color. I've been carrying around those gloves for at least 3 years. I carry them from place to place to place, and this is the cycle of forgiveness that I have discovered as a result of working on this bike. First, you start with the red, where the hands are in each other, and the thing happens that pisses you off, and so you're so it's like being weak with rage. It's red, and you just can't move. And then you move on to the blame stage, and on the bike, the hands are, wrapped around and pointing, and it's like, who can I blame for this miserable thing that has happened to me? I need to blame you, or you, or you, or you, or something like that. And then you realize you cannot possibly live this way any longer. You're poisoning yourself, and you just have to quit it. And so then we've got these yellow, praying hands on the wheel saying, I need an answer to be able to let go of this. Help. So I just don't know what to do because it's eating me alive. So then in the green phase, these hands come down and offer assistance. And you think, oh, amen, there's some assistance coming my way, and the assistance leads to the blue hands underneath the butt of the rider, finally getting you off your butt to do something about the situation, and gives you that final push that you need to actually forgive the person, which sends you into the black phase. All the gloves are stuffed to make them a little bit more lively. Yeah. And in the black phase, when you're actually completely letting go of this miserable situation and finally getting around to the forgiving, they're all flat. And so you've let go. You're stuffing. You're just in the void of almost peace. And then after you get out of that, then you have at the end this purple plethora of personal peace.
Oh.
You're on.
Hi.
Hi.
So Barbara, we just saw a little snippet of your clown bike riding down the street with a mystery rider. I don't know who it was.
Who was that?
I don't know. Tell us how you came to, we heard the story of your last bike and sort of the process you went through to come up with that idea. What about the clown bike? How did that come to be?
It comes from the same place.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they both come from the heart. Last time I needed some forgiveness, now I need laughter.
Okay. All right. It's a beautiful bike. I love all the primary colors, and it's just very bold.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling.
It's a good looking bike. And that bike right now is hanging in Toscanini's
Yes, in Central Square.
in Central Square. It's a good bike for an ice cream store. So that will be on display at Toscanini's until the May 16th, at which May 13th, 12th. Sorry. The bikes that are going to be auctioned at the art bike auction actually go on display at the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center on the 13th, and they're on display from 10 to 5:30, and admission is free to the public. So if you're thinking about bidding on something, but you want to check them out before the crowd gets there, you can go to the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center and check them out during that time, right?
Yep. I think your bicycle was laughing at me when I was trying to install it there up the eaves over at Toscanini's.
It was, there wasn't a chance in that video to get too good of a look at it, but it's a little small. It's cute. It's a small bike with,
Well, it has written "ha ha ha."
yeah, it has
all
written
over
ha ha, and I assume it comes with the wig.
Oh, yeah.
they're
Well,
not-
the helmet. You can get your own helmet correctly sized with a new rainbow wig on top.
Oh.
And you get your own clown nose. And you get your own big glasses,
Okay.
horn, bow
Excellent.
tie. You get the whole picture.
Excellent commuter bike, just to give you a little pick-me-up in the morning when you have to go to work.
Yes.
And that was Maria Ortiz. She is a staff person at Bikes Not Bombs who runs the girls programs and the youth leadership group. She was the one who was writing it.
Right.
A very
And
short clip.
the girls were very interested in the bike, too, when I was over there. They were. Great. So next we're going to look at a clip of Mike working at his shop in Somerville on Pearl Street. It was really interesting for me to come and see you work because I haven't really, I mean, I was a bike mechanic for years, but I never welded or had actually ever been to see a frame builder before. So it was kind of cool to watch you do some work. Yeah. So tell me a little bit, I know Ant is a new business for you.
It is.
And tell me a little bit about, or tell us all a little bit about what ANT's about and what your purpose is with that.
Okay. Well, ANT is an acronym for Alternative Needs Transportation, which I took the image of the ant because I thought it fit very well for the types of bicycles that I'll be making, which are very small but strong and capable and efficient and can carry much more of their own body weight, which you can do on a bicycle if it's positioned, you know, it has the right proportions. And so some of the cycles I make are extended bikes that have a platform on them, so you can carry large boxes, chairs, laundry. I often see people trying to carry things on their bike, and their grocery bags are swinging into their front wheel.
Right.
And with some of the bikes that I make, you could do all the necessary things that you need to do with your life without having to drive.
Right. And that's the refreshing thing about it, you know, especially hearing stories from you from traveling in Latin America where it's so much more the custom to use your bike for work or use a bicycle to actually transport things and use cargo bikes, whereas here, you know, people seem to sometimes have this idea that we're born with the right to like drive 2 tons of steel down the block for, you know, a cup of sugar or whatever, you know, our over-reliance on cars is like pretty extreme, I think, on a world scale.
Become the sort of cornerstone of our culture.
Yeah.
Now we're willing to go to war for it.
Yeah.
That's a sad one. Also, people in developing countries need your bikes too, or at least they need your designs, because they also really overload their bikes to carry and to get their goods back and forth, and they lack many good designs lots of times to really carry the kind of weight and the goods that they need to do to go back and forth to market in many different situations. So the ant bike is really great. You'll be happy to know I got my 4-year-old son an ant farm for his birthday.
Very good.
That's great. I know some videographers that might be interested in a cargo bike as well.
All right.
So let's take a look at the clip, and we're going to actually have, if you can, while we're looking at the tape, the different, just let us tell us what you're doing and what part of the process we're on as we go through this. So as soon as we can get that up, we'll look at that tape.
Okay.
But it was fun to come to your shop, and it's a pretty small space that you get a lot of work done in there.
It is a small space, but I do have machines. I'm not sure if people realize what's involved with it, but it's like a miniature machine shop.
Definitely.
And so I have milling machines for doing tube cutting.
Oh, here it comes.
That's a chop saw.
There you go.
Okay. Well, that's a chop saw doing a first cut on a tube, because you have to cut it to a certain length to fit into the tube mitering fixture, which is on the milling machine. Now I'm deburring the end of the tube because it has a little metal left over after you do that first cut with the chop saw. And that is a horizontal milling machine, which is basically a big drill. And it has a hole saw connected into the end of the arbor. And it has a fixture set up to hold just tubing and has measuring indications on it.
Oh, thanks.
And you can set that to certain measurements, and once you turn the machine on, it will sort of punch a hole into the end of the tube, which makes a coped shape, and that would fit onto the next tube junction. You have to feed it kind of slow because the tubes are very thin and very strong, and that's why you have to have such a rigid fixture, because it will get hung up and want to rip out of the machine. So that's one reason to have a heavy machine, so it does want to vibrate a lot.
I still can't figure out how it does that, how it cut it in that beveled way.
Well, it has a guide that you can crank into the into the hole saw. You can see me backing it out right now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, so you were moving that while it was...
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's impressive.
So I unclamp it there, and now it has a coped end. Now drilling some breather holes. When you're welding or brazing, it heats up and expands the air that's inside the tube and will want to blow out, so you have to drill a hole in it to allow it to breathe. And that there is a tacking fixture, which is an adjustable jig that can hold the tubes in the place of a bicycle. And now I'm putting a small weld onto it to hold it in place. And you can see that I've loaded more tubes in, so you have to do it in a certain system before it becomes a complete bicycle.
You have to do the bottom bracket first?
Yeah, you have to do the bottom bracket first, which is the piece where the pedals go through. And that's an electric welder, so it's a little different from a torch that you might see, at a muffler shop. And now I'm fitting heat sinks and spacers into it, which aid in welding so it won't distort or get warped.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm beginning to weld the frame together, which is done freehand on a table. And I have to wear that shield, which is very dark. You can't even see through it because the arc is so bright that it will blind you. And so you have to have that shield to protect your eyes.
Seems perfectly well oiled. You just turn your head a little bit.
Oh, there's an ant.
And so I've welded on little ants on this bike. The name of the bike is Anti-Incognito, which is a little bit of a play on words from the name of my shop and also the design of the bike. And here's the complete bike.
It's in Green Street.
Which is built from a little bit different of a perspective, being that I'm a bicycle manufacturer. I created the bike to be a very nice rideable bike, but has more bike than art in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made to look old. So when certain people will look at it and just think it's an old bike, and then a cyclist may look at it and see its special features,
right,
and then realize that it is incognito, but it's anti-incognito for somebody that knows what they're looking at.
This tape needs to go off. Okay, we're going to come back to the studio in a second. I guess we just need to rewind that tape a little bit for the next roll in. For most of us sitting at this table, a hand-built frame is a work of art, a thing of beauty. Yeah, it was really interesting to see that whole process. And the Anti-Incognito it's a great bike. I actually saw it the other day, just yesterday, in the Green Street Gallery. And if you go to that, the Green Street Gallery is on the corner of Green Street and Amory in Jamaica Plain. I think it's 141 Green Street. And it's a it's a gallery that is in the T stop. You come up from the T and it's right outside. So it's right there in the window. It's like the first one that you might see coming out of the T. So people are really, I know it went up last night rather. And today I went back to get some postcards, and there were a lot of people like kind of.
It's so exciting because it's such a public space, and people have become accustomed to being able to walk into it. I think museums, for a lot, I mean, you're looking at an area of Boston that has a very mix of incomes. I think for a lot of people, walking into a museum is still daunting for some of them. And walking into a gallery, definitely folks from that area are not necessarily going to go down to Newbury Street and walk into a gallery. So on their way to the T-stop, they stop, see these amazing bicycles. There's a cow bike, there's, you know, the anti-incognito and other bikes hanging, and they'll just walk through the gallery to get to the T-station and stop and start reading or looking, and kids are pointing at things and bringing their parents over. So it's really an exciting place to have a show.
It's true. It's much more accessible. Like a lot of people might not go to galleries or think you have to pay, or, you know, just not necessarily feel like going.
If I could say one other thing, I mean, you look at the skills involved in every one of these clips and the life experience, the ability to express, both in terms of executing a skill, in terms of executing or accessing emotions and then putting it into a piece of art, or it's quite phenomenal. And it exists in every one of us. I think Art Bike has helped everyone from the least skilled and just the newcomer to try and create something from their being, to the most skilled, the people who've done this all their lives or much of their lives. And it's brought that out in a really exciting way. And it's all come from the heart because there's such a generosity there. I mean, we really don't have the money. We're trying to raise money through this benefit. So I feel very honored that people have been able to take the time and bring us their work to put on display and to sell eventually for our programs. I don't know, that chokes me up. There's so much effort there on behalf of so many people and so many skills to be shared.
Right. And yeah, artists are, you know, the avant-garde of cultural, you know, advancement. So it's a great, it's a really unique event that I think people really.
We've been trying to build bicycle culture in Boston to make it an opportunity for people to be able to use their bicycle. I think we have to get out of a certain social milieu before we can embrace bicycles and mass transit and other things. Walking, for instance. And we have to see role models. We have to see that it's exciting, sexy, fun, whatever encourages you to do something. The bicycle and the new paradigm for what maybe America is to become, using less energy, resources, finding ways to self-propel ourselves, and finding a culture that's accessible to that, or that embraces it. And this Art Bike is one more way to do that, saying, yes, it's also artistic and creative, as well as something that you can do by yourself, something that's economical, something that's environmental. It's just one more avenue to embrace the fact that, you know, bicycles can be part of our culture, and they're not just a toy that you leave after childhood.
Yeah, I know. I've been living in Boston now for about 10 years, and I know you guys have been involved in the bicycle community for at least as long. And I was trying to think if I think there is this sort of renaissance happening where people are becoming more interested in doing non-polluting stuff. It's hard to tell.
Last winter was a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, I mean, there is this sort of proliferation of huge gas-guzzling cars, but then at the same time, you know, like critical mass is bigger again. More young people, it seems, are getting back into bikes, whether it's because they're cool lowriders or because they're interested in being environmentally conscious. I don't know if...
Well, if you want me to respond to that,
yeah.
I'd say you could look around you at Cambridge and Somerville and other communities and see that city planners and politicians are finally having to recognize this. The Concord bike, well, the Minuteman bike path that stretches from Cambridge all the way up to Concord and Lexington, that has become such a huge success, and it's undeniable. So people are realizing, and from a city planning view, that this makes a lot of sense. It makes health sense. It beautifies our cities. It brings back a neighborly kind of interaction between people. They're not roaring by incommunicado in a shell. They're able to talk with each
Right,
other, see
right.
the city around them, interact with the city around them, stop for the squirrels that run across the road. So it's definitely, cycling has now become on the issue, on the agenda at all city levels. And it's slow to get going. We really want to push it more. We'd really like to see this flourish, bloom, blossom.
Right.
But it's in some ways it's going to be a slow process. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with the above ground planning of what's happened to the Big Dig, or what will happen to the Big Dig,
Right.
and see what accommodations and accessibility are made there for pedestrians and cyclists and also mass transit users.
Right.
It could really transform the city. I hope it does.
I hope so too. I hope so too. I did hear that the city got rid of their bicycle person. They had hired someone.
Paul Schumer?
Yeah.
Really? At the Boston level?
Yeah.
But there is a Somerville committee, and there's
There
a
is a
Cambridge
Somerville
committees,
committee, right, it's
and
true.
Arlington, and many communities have that. And if Boston doesn't have a paid staff position, they still have an active community.
They still got you.
Many more than
They don't have
many
you.
more people. Than, so
Right.
we'll work together and still try and push the agenda.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for.
I was reading over the weekend that in London, in order to drive within the 8 miles of the regular city, you have to pay a fee. Now,
Oh.
and on the first day that it was instituted, there were 60,000 less cars.
Right.
And when the
It's a
writer
huge
of
fee.
that,
It's like $20 to ride into the city.
something like that,
Yeah.
and when the writer was there, they noticed the mayor of New York was sitting in the lobby to speak to the person who had
Oh,
implemented this
interesting.
plan, and so maybe we can.
Oh, that's a good thing to hear.
That people think of New York as kind of this horrendous, clogged city, but there's one of the best bicycle activist organizations in the whole country, very proactive, really getting bike lanes on the bridges and really working at both the grassroots and the city level to try and make an interface so that an agenda can go forward to bring cycling into New York, despite 365 pedestrian deaths a year and the problems that they do face with the kind of city that it is. There is still quite an active populace there. And they have certain art bike type activities as well. They have cultural activities that bring together communities revolving around art, bikes, pedestrians, a different alternative culture.
Maybe there could be like a national convention of art bikes.
Oh God, I won't organize it.
No, I know you're tired. So great. I want to look at a clip of Bill's work, if we can just get that tape rewound to where the cartoon streamer thing is. Okay, streamliner. Excuse me. I keep garbling the name of Bill's piece. I'm sorry. Bill, you've worked, as you had said, with Barbara on the art car things that I think you started out doing either for Artbeat or for Spice of Life here in Union Square.
It was actually before that. I forget exactly why you started your art car group in Jamaica Plain, but at any rate, it inspired the Somerville Arts Council to want to have a theme vehicle for their Artbeat Festival. So that's how I ended up making the fish car for that year. The Mystic River was the theme. So then we got together and did the Spice of Life Festival here with the art car activity here. But having been a Somerville resident and a brick bottom artist, and I still am associated with that, I really enjoy working on the arts in Somerville because of the support that the Arts Council gives the arts. And there's so many artists and there's so much activity going on here. So that's always been a real boost to me. I also find that the art bike activity is sort of a intersection of several interests of mine. It's the alternative energy thing, it's art, and it's social activism all at the same time. I've worked with a lot of sort of social activist groups. I've worked with the Mass Coalition for the Homeless, building furniture for their auctions. I've done the art bike for Carl for Bikes Not Bombs. I'm right now working on a building with the Salvation Army. And I just really like working with groups that have that leaning. And this is a nice intersection with the art and the transportation. I used to bicycle to downtown Boston from Brookline, or I'd take the Riverside line. And then when I lived in Charlestown, I'd walk to work. And so, I mean, I've used all the transportation that's on Carl's shirt right there. And my car has sat for weeks without, using it. So I really appreciate that effort. And Carl's idea of shipping bikes overseas, I visited third world countries myself, so I know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And you see it in action, and it's totally necessary, both the skills and the vehicles,
Right.
both. So it's a great idea. So I like the intersection of the sort of social activism and the art and the alternate energy thing.
Right.
It's great. It's perfect.
I have to say, I'm so impressed too, as I read through the resumes and the work that all the different artists, we have many more than 20 artists, there's maybe 20 that have taken a bicycle, but there's around 30 artists at least that have been involved with this, and I look at their resumes or just the activities they've been involved in, and many have generously given their time and their art and their skills to, if you want to call it charity, I call it like the fabric of life. I mean, so many services that are brought to us by nonprofit organizations that are facing budget cuts and have been facing difficult times over the years. And artists who aren't, I don't know any artists that are really making it big time. Maybe I should, but they're not in the elite echelons of society that have a lot of money to throw around,
Yeah.
and they're really giving of themselves to support many organizations. I mean, spieling on about bikes here, but it takes many, many different fabrics to make a society run, and from the health and the transportation and many different housing and schooling and issues that have happened. And I just see in these resumes all these different causes, if you want to call it that, artists have gotten involved in. It's really inspiring.
Sure. Well, let's take a look at the tape of Bill in his studio, and I'm going to ask you also to talk a little bit about your process while we're looking at the tape. It was fun to go to your studio too. I was surprised at sort of the scale of the things that you make, and then that mostly you use hand tools to make all of your things. Like I saw you plug in a drill once, and then the rest was all kind of non
I'm sort of the opposite of Mike's shop. I mean, Mike is very, very precision technology, and mine is much more seat of the pants.
All right, so we'll take a look at that tape.
Well, that's the original sketch of the cartoon streamliner. It's based on the same sort of sheet metal technology that I used for the fish bike. I wanted to make it a little bit simpler and a little easier to ride. Carl has ridden the fish bike, and it's very, very awkward and heavy. So what I've been doing is cutting out a pattern for some of the pieces out of cardboard, sort of fitting them onto the wheels and tacking them on any which way just to see what the shapes are. I don't have a lot of power tools, and I mean I have hand power tools, but no real shop tools that like Mike has. So here I was experimenting with fins on the back fenders, and I'm taking one off because I'm not quite sure, wasn't quite sure at the time whether the fins are going to be quite right or not. Then I realized I had to allow for the mechanical components of the bike to be repaired and to get to them. On the fish bike you can actually reach inside, but this is going to be pretty heavily armored. So in order to make some templates for the holes for the derailleurs, and you can see there's a slot where the pedal comes out there, that has to be worked up a little bit. And then trying to make sure that this sheet metal ultimately will fit over the frame. This is just a simple piece of plastic pipe, electrical pipe. And what I can do with these, and I've used them both in the Lumieres and in the fish bike, using these lightweight pipes and sheet metal and either rivets or screws, just able to fabricate something very much like they fabricate airplanes, a lightweight frame with a stressed skin. The Lumieres have, of course, a plastic skin, but this is just aluminum sheet metal. And trying to work this all out and sort of custom fit it. It's sort of like making a suit of clothing, but making it fit the bike precisely.
That's a great metaphor.
Very, very similar to the way clothing is made or the way that I made the fish bike. Again, here I've cut the template out. Now I'm sort of very roughly taping it onto the fender. I'm using two rear fenders on the bike actually, because the rear fenders are very long. So I'm wrapping the fenders over the bikes. This is actually a fish lumiere from Somerville a while back. And this is a large, about 14-foot hand that was from First Night. But again, it's plastic tubing, lightweight wood. You can see some copper tubing and some plywood diaphragms and some lighting inside these, of course. But it's all similar technology. There's a wing of a flying tricycle, which has shrink wrap and plywood and sheet metal sail, and there's the head of the fish car that may be familiar to viewers in Somerville. Again, sheet metal, rivets, screws, plywood diaphragms, and very lightweight structure. That's, I believe, the tail of the fish bike. We have I think we're coming into a clip of the fish bike from 2001. Yeah. He's got kind of a nice smile on his face there. The other side of the bike actually actually there's a hatch. You can get inside the fish bike and actually ride inside it.
Right.
It's sort of like an armored vehicle, but it's very light. And it also comes with a helmet with a fin on the top of the helmet. So it has matching accessories. No, it's not a mohawk. It's the dorsal fin. Exactly.
Right.
Thank you, Carl. Right. Exactly.
I wore that helmet.
I've got pictures of you.
And the doors kind of open. Do they open this
No,
way,
there's
like
one door that opens like a big hatch.
Right,
You kind of
okay.
crawl in, and then someone can sort of bolt you in, and you're in.
I sat in it. I didn't actually attempt to ride it when I was on it. But
It's pretty heavy,
I think I
and
modeled
it
it.
it shudders a little bit, but Carl's good.
But it's
I've
amazing.
test
It's an
driven it
amazing
myself.
thing.
Well, this is one
It's
more
like a
aspect
float.
of Art Bike, and Barbara alluded to how much fun it was. And part of the fun is that we're not only in a gallery somewhere where people have to come to see it. We can go and have an art attack anywhere we want.
Mm-hmm.
We can be in parades or just on your daily commute. If it's a nice day and you feel like taking your art bike, you can be
Right.
moving art from point A to point B. And so we bring it to the streets and to people, and it's great to see people turn their heads and smile and give you a shout. Taking one of these bikes out of a building the other day, it was all covered with sunflowers, and it's this big sunshiny bike, and they're like, great bike, you know, made my day. And
brings people together.
yeah, so it is a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of work. So where's the fun? The fun is in riding them and taking part in these festivals and bringing it to people to get their response.
Right.
It's interesting. I was actually doing an installation with reclamation artists in Harvard Square a year and a half ago, and someone tapped me on the shoulder. Someone from Somerville tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Look," but it was too late. Chris Hutchins, the current owner of the fish bike, had ridden through Harvard Square on the fish bike going to a wedding.
Oh!
And I had missed it,
that's
but
funny.
this friend of mine from Somerville had seen it, and going through Harvard Square, and everybody was, of course, laughing their
In a
heads
fish bike
off.
with a tuxedo
in a fish
on.
bike. It was
That's
very
funny.
funny.
We're going to show also another little clip of the girls group. This is a short clip, and they've been working on a bike for the art bike auction, a group effort. And
Called Let Freedom Ring.
Right. I visited them at Bikes Not Bombs, and a whole group of them were working on this bike. Sort of a few had the wheels over here, and some had the frame over here, and they were painting it. And sort of, I missed the part where they did the initial making of the bike, but I know there was a whole process where they sort of figured out what kind of their theme was going to be and what was important to them. So they did this bike called Let Freedom Ring.
Well, Mike hand-built the wheels to his bike, and of course he hand-built the frame, as you saw. And you compare Mike's many years of experience. These girls took apart the wheels spoke by spoke and threaded the beads onto the spokes and put them back and trued the wheels up nice and straight.
I know.
So it was quite a technical feat as well as an artistic creation. We were all proud of them. And I think 12, young to older women and girls all worked together on that bike. So it
Okay.
was quite a collaborative.
Let's take a look at it. It's a short clip.
Her name is. I'm 12 years old.
My name is Sharina Patel. I'm 11 years old. The project that we're doing today is for art bike. It's not art bike. It's called Let Freedom Ring, and basically what we're doing is representing liberty and patriotic something. I don't know the whole word, but patriotism or something like that. And so we've designed the bike with blue, red, and white, and we have bells on it. They collaged words and put them on the bike, and then we painted it purple and put red and blue polka dots on it. We voted on collage, so we started making names for it, and then we picked Let Freedom Ring because of what was happening. So we decided that we're gonna paint it and like put beads on it and make it stand out, and we're gonna sell it at an auction. And we did jewelry. We took pieces of bikes off and we made them into jewelry. There's earrings and chains and things like that.
Okay, that was a little short clip of the girls group, Chicas en Acción.
Chicas en Acción. There are many Latino girls in that group.
Yeah, and their bike will be on display at City Feed in Jamaica Plain, and that is on Boylston Street in Jamaica Plain, sort of near the Stony Brook T-stop. I don't know the exact number.
It's about a block and a half, 2 blocks. I don't have the address in front of me either.
That's okay, the City Feed. Ask anyone, they'll know where it is. And some of the jewelry they made is actually here on display in the SCAT gallery. We actually have it here in the studio, but it'll be up at SCAT, actually only for a couple more days, and then probably back at Bikes Not Bombs. So,
You know where they're going, and it'd be nice to just mention this. We've talked a little bit about the Green Street Gallery, and so there is a whole show happening it's sort of a precursor to the main show, and that's happening at the Green Street Gallery right now as we speak, and the jewelry and some of the other pieces you see on the table here, we'll leave SCAT and go over to that gallery, as well as a few more pieces will go up in City Feed. And then after May 3rd, after the Wake Up the Earth Festival and parade that we're all taking part in, a lot of this work will be spread out once again throughout the city until we install at Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center.
okay, and there's an opening tomorrow night at Green Street Gallery?
It's actually Thursday night.
Oh, sorry, Thursday night, May 1st, 7 to 9?
Yep.
There's going to be an opening at
Yeah.
Green
You
Street.
can see about 10 of the bicycles and a number of the non-rideable pieces of art as well.
Right, and there are a few things I hadn't seen before that are there.
There'll be more.
Yeah, and there'll be more. And during Wake Up the Earth, now, are you still needing volunteers for people to help you out with any of these events, Wake Up the Earth?
We always need volunteers from many different aspects of Bikes Not Bombs. I mean, you've heard me give that long explanation of all the different programs that we have. So there are many different ways to get involved. With Art Bike, one of the things we'd like people to do is to show up on Saturday, May 3rd at 10 o'clock. Come to decorate your own bike and be involved with us in the parade as the artists themselves ride their bikes. And in a few cases, the artists won't be able to ride their bikes, so someone else will ride their bike. And then we will, form a whole exhibition at the Wake Up the Earth Festival where people can come up and look once again at the bicycles. So yes, we need volunteers, and on May 11th when we ship all those bicycles overseas to Africa, we definitely need some sneaker power to help us lift those bikes into the container, and we're always looking for volunteers.
Okay, so to find out more about Bikes Not Bombs, you can go to their website, which is www.bikesnotbombs.org.
Nice and simple.
And you're in Jamaica Plain, Roxbury.
Right on the line.
59 Amory Street.
Right on
near,
the line.
Right near Jackson Square T.
Jamaica Plain, Roxbury, right near Jackson Square.
So in a minute, we'll look at some clips of another one of some of the other bikes, some from the last art bike auction, some from the upcoming one, and some of the stuff that's here at SCAT as well. But I wanted to ask, this sort of spot that you've come to with this sort of intersection of interest between bikes and artists and community people is one, that seems to work pretty well. And hopefully, it's maybe this event will even grow more and sort of become its own little thing.
Yeah, and for it to grow, I'm going to need more
A
ideas.
staff of-
I'm going to need more ideas and more ways of doing that. I think that in the future, this won't be just an auction. I think that art bikes and this sort of art can be attractive to store owners and others that want to display something that speaks of art and embellishes their storefront. Or I see that as one possibility for us to bring art bikes to, on more of an ongoing basis, to store owners and to small businesses throughout the Boston area. Having this show every 2 years is fine. We need to find ways of making it more lucrative for as a fundraiser. And also, I don't think we can forever just give $100 stipend to the artists for their
thanks a lot
for their materials and say thanks a lot. I mean, we all have donated a lot of time, and I'm certainly in that same vein where I've donated years of my life to get nonprofits up and going.
Right.
But finding ways to share that wealth and yet also help Bikes Not Bombs stay afloat and provide the programs is something that we have to look at. Because as something grows, then you need to keep looking out for everyone that's involved in it. And I do hope it grows, and I do hope other people will help organize it in the future. As Barbara, we've worked on this for about 1.5 years, in and out, and it's always crunch time at the end anyway, but it's really helped.
Yes, it was so crunch time that last year, at the first art bike auction, I rolled in my art bike a half an hour before the auction opened, but it looked great.
Yeah, and this time you're 3 weeks early.
This time I'm 3 weeks early.
There's jazz.
I don't know that we can hear that in here. So I think they're getting that ready, and we can look at that clip in just a second. Okay. So the art that's up at Green Street will then go to Wake Up the Earth, and then it will be delivered to the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center, May 12th. People can look at it. The actual event, what else is going to happen at the event? Music, food?
Well, that's fun. Yeah, I guess I could give a little support to our sponsors here. Red Bones Barbecue is going to provide a great meal for us at the event. And Tuscanini's is going to provide some coffee and some dessert. We have True Life Bluegrass, going to play bluegrass music. We have a comedian named Tim McIntyre, who's known here in Cambridge. He's going to be the auctioneer.
Excellent.
And so we have quite a venue, and I have to include Harpoon's Brewery is going to be there with their great ale. And all of the artists, I'm sure, will come and bring their friends, so there'll be schmoozing to do. And you can bid by getting in for a $20 ticket. You get all those things, the meal, and it's a cash bar, so you do have to buy the booze. But and there'll be soda for kids. Anyone under 18 will have free sodas. But to get in and really bid and to buy one of these pieces and take it home, you have to come and support Bikes Not Bombs and pay your ticket. Bikes Not Bombs members are going to get in a little bit cheaper than that for $15. And students and the elderly can get in at $10. But all that enables you to bid on one of the bicycles or on one of the silent auction non-rideable pieces of art. So that goes from 7 o'clock at night till midnight.
Okay.
And come with your U-Haul so that you can carry these things back home.
Okay, it looks like they're rolling the tape now. These are some of the bikes.
There's Pipe Dreams. That's actually this year. And that's by Eric Legacy, and he's quite a sculptor. That has a myriad of plumbing parts and a 3-speed bicycle frame, which he's covered with a copper sulfite paint and an acid, which gives it this turquoise patina. It's really a garden sculpture, or whatever, wherever you want to put it. It's non-rideable, obviously. And here's a little dog sitting on the table made of a bottom bracket shell and dropouts and fork tines. And this bike is covered with thousands of phosphorescent beads that glow in the dark. We've taken many people into the bathroom at Bikes Not Bombs and turned out the lights to watch it glow. And it has a black light on it. This is at Red Bones, hanging at Red Bones right now. In all phosphorescent glory with a black light on it. A dream catcher from a bicycle chainring. A day without peace is like a day without sunshine is the title of this bike. And copper wiring and metal paint and plastic flowers, sunflowers. You made this.
Yep, it's a mobile with bike parts.
Three-wheel cogs. There's the ants crawling up your bike, Mike. George O'Keeffe came to life here with a bike seat. The tin can bike.
This bike is incredible.
This bike has about 500 tin cans flattened or wrapped around every structure on it, and it rattles and bobbles as you ride. Hopefully we'll get a faraway shot to get the full impact. It has a structure that says recreate, reuse, and renew on it. And it's hard to see it up this close. You're going to catch the picture of the entire bike at a distance here, and you'll see it. Here we go. It's pretty colossal. I had it in a restaurant, and the guy said, you know, every time I come in the morning, I feel like I'm in a soup kitchen. Take a load off your seat. This was made by Arts Academy in Academy Artworks in New Hampshire, and children in the classes made these ceramic figures and adorned this bicycle with them.
Okay, we just have about 1 minute left.
Well, you explain your jewelry.
Oh, those are bike necklaces made from spoke nipples, and they're kind of woven together with dental floss.
This is Robin McDonald Foley's mandalas that come up the back of the fender on her bicycle.
You made those?
Candle holders made out of hubs and gears and coaster brake drivers.
It's Robin's from last year.
The Bikescape. Ooh, I can't see that much. This bike is at...
Okay.
This bike is at the It's All About Arts Gallery, which is our title sponsor of the event, over in Rosendale. Jason Sanford's piece.